Okay, hello and welcome to another episode. I am Moogs and this is Should You Buy That? Today we're playing Chef, which is $28.95 on Steam. The dev is In a Void. They also made Icy, which is a post-apocalypse survival RPG, very different to their style of game, and it was published by Digital Tribe, which have published quite a few different games on Steam. For those who don't know, I am a chef in real life, so this game does tend to, it can make me slightly upset sometimes. So I'm just gonna go for this. As you can see, there's a lot of different things that impact what you're gonna cook and how you're gonna cook it and how much you're gonna charge and what kind of restaurant you're gonna be, and all that information is here. Let me just move my stupid face. It wasn't that much in the way anyway. All that information is here, so you kind of have a bit of a rough idea, like, oh, there's going to be a lot of cheapskates and lower class families. Cool, that's fine. So I'm going to rent that, because I want a cheapish place, and I love this loading screen, it is adorable. Just personally. I'm going to pretend I already know everything. I know a little bit, I know enough to give you a rough idea of what happens. So this is the space that I've just taken on. This is my character panel. I tried to make it look a bit like me, but it's not going to happen. So you need to put in your floors, put in your walls. You can change everything in every room. You need to put in, so you've got benches. You need benches to cook. You need an oven. Might be a stove. This is a cooker, apparently. And then I need an oven. Luckily it shows you what direction it needs to face, because I wasn't paying attention. Then a deep fryer, why not? Because if you want to deep fry anything, you need a deep fryer. Funny that. And then you've got appliances, you've got fridges, you've got freezers, etc, etc. They all impact how you cook, how long things are going to take, etc, etc. This game is awesome in the detail it goes into. So, now I'll move out into the dining room, and you can just place a few little tables. Oh, beautiful, look at that. It's not neat, that upsets me. It's fine. Done. This is my little me. Just gonna not close that, I guess. And you need to hire the appropriate people. So you can have more cooks. You can have... You need front of house staff. They need to take orders, they need to run food, they need to... all those things. So this person looks like they're pretty good, I'll hire them. This person looks terrible, but they're cheap, so I'll hire them as well, because we're in a cheapskate area. Come on, what do you want from me? Okay, so that means that we've got door greeters, we've got people to sit. Can't unpause it yet. Let's call this Moog's Cafe. I need to deal with the menu. So the entire menu is completely up to you how you're going to do it. I don't have a menu at all. So you drag things over there and they become part of the menu. I don't really want to put butter pasta on the menu. So this is how you... Look at that, beautiful. It does automatically choose a price for you. But please bear in mind... Why can't I have the steak? Whatever, have a salad. Bear in mind you will need to adjust those to the appropriate prices. People tend to like butter cookies, and we've got some cheap beer. Which they can't have. Okay, yes they can. So, I'm just going to go through and make everything around dollar value. It's a bit tricky for me, I guess, because not sure where this game was made. But in Australia, a chicken breast with salad is going to set you back probably a good $22. So trying to make prices that make sense in this game is a little bit tricky for me, but that's okay. An appetizer that costs $3. Okay, fine, done. So that's that. I now have a menu. What else do I need before I can open? I need some decisions. Okay, this is just stuff. You don't really need to be too involved in that. And I can level up my thing, I think. Yeah, I have 10 skill points available, but right, okay. So, this little bit here, this is for cooking your starches. This game is going to ruin anybody's life that is not a chef. So this is how well you cook it. This is how fast you cook it, apparently. And this is the preparation time. Because as you well know, you can't just get a potato and throw it in the oven and it's ready. You need to prepare it and then cook it. So you just apply your skills as you want. Beautiful, that's what I wanted. And now now we're getting more complicated, because this whole side that we're looking at here, this is all about starches. So this is basically pastas and rices. If you want to look at meat, then that's when you start getting into slightly more complicated things. So I've just, whatever, I just picked some random stuff. Let's unpause it and see what happens. Okay, so we've got to wait for the customers basically to come into the store and they pay us the money. You know the drill. I have unspent ingredient points. Now, as you can see, this is where it starts getting complicated. Starts, she says. You can buy, I've got 10 points to spend. I can buy any of these things and they will add them to the recipe creator that I'll show you in a second. And if you think this is complicated, you are not ready. So I'm going to try and buy some relatively cheap ingredients. I wouldn't call couscous sour. This is where I have issues with the game, is that I do tend to argue with it a little bit. Because that's just how I am as a human being. Okay, so we'll take some corn, let's take a sausage. Mutton's cheap. Done. So that was the ingredients panel. I'm just going to speed it up because I'm impatient. And this game early on involves a lot of this. Okay, so how do I change what they can do? Ew, you're slow. There's a way to do that. Just don't remember what it is. What do you do? I'll hire you. Okay, so apparently people will come, you'll see little speech bubbles above their head, that'll let you know how they feel about the prices, the service, the speed, etc, etc. The food. She ain't happy. Old lady not happy. That's fine. So that's your basic management side of the game. And because you're only charging about $2 per meal, you've got to be really careful about the prices on your menu to make sure that you are breaking even, as if you're running a real business. Now to get to the complicated side of things. So, if we come in here, this is the recipe editor. Give it a second to load. This is, like I said, this is where it starts getting complicated. So, choose any old template for your recipe. And you can change it around a bit and go, oh, look at that, it's beautiful. And give it a name. So we're going to call it Moog Pasta. And we're going to start the recipe. So it's automatically put the base as pasta because I chose a pasta thing, obviously. And now is when it gets... You need to take your own food knowledge and apply it appropriately. You want to balance these different tastes over here. So saltiness, fat... Oh, this is sweetness actually. Saltiness, sweetness, sourness, bitterness, and the fat. Then, depending on what you need to do, some things are going to take a lot of time. Some things aren't going to, like for instance cooking mutton will take quite a bit of time because it's a tough cut of meat. So you want to slowly cook it for quite a while to really soften up that muscle and get a nice mouthfeel. Otherwise you're going to be chewing on a boot, basically. And this will tell you how much it costs and what you need. So, from what I remember, if you choose an ingredient, it'll light up on the side here. So this is green. That means that it feels broccoli goes pretty well with pasta. Biscuits, pretty well with pasta. Bacon, pretty good with pasta. If you click bacon, you can see that it's got different things. Blue means yes. Super good. And then it gets a step further. So this, if I put bacon here, this becomes a primary ingredient. If I get rid of bacon there and I put bacon here, this becomes a secondary ingredient. So it's more like lots of bacon, a little bit of bacon. See the difference in this taste wheel thing? So depending on what you're trying to make, you've got to be careful because you really have to balance everything quite carefully. So let's say we were making a very simple tomato-based sauce. So you'd obviously have your tomato as your main. You'd have garlic as a back. It feels garlic is sour. I disagree with this game completely. I feel garlic is actually quite sweet. So that's not where I would put it. It feels onions are also sour. Once again, we have a slight disagreement there. So this is how I would make the basic... I'm going to move the carrot there to try and bring up the sweetness a little bit. This is how I would make a basic red sauce. Then you also need to look at any herbs you're going to add, any salt, pepper, any of that stuff. You have to add that all manually yourself. It is not just magically there. If you were going to cook it in, I would never cook it in margarine. If you're going to cook it in olive oil, you've got to add the olive oil in. Probably wouldn't be a main ingredient, really, would it? If you're going to add a bit of salt, you got to add that in. You're going to add some sugar, you got to add that in. Which you should. It reduces the acidity of tomatoes. But this is not a cooking lesson. And as you can see, this number goes up and down, depending on how good all of your matches are. And how much skill you need will also go up and down, and how much time it'll take to cook. And the price, obviously, depending on what you're putting in it. If you're putting expensive ingredients in, it costs more money. That makes sense, doesn't it? And then you say, yep, cool, I'm happy with that recipe, let's save that. Let's go to the menu. Let's look at the main courses. And there's my pasta. Let's put my pasta on the menu. And that's the cost price. That is not the recommended retail price. If you go to a commercial cookery course, they'll tell you it's about 300%. That's still not very much for this pasta dish. That's what? $1.95? It's not a lot of money for a pasta dish. I'd pay that. So that's now on the menu, which means people can order that and they will critique it as they see fit. And as you can see, it tells you everything that's in the recipe and what you need. So I can't put, that's why I couldn't put steak on the menu, because I need a grill. I don't have a grill. It's got a chef hat rating that shows you how well balanced it is and all those things. My pasta's quite good. I'm pretty happy with that. What I have had trouble with is desserts. It's very hard to appropriately balance them in this game. Making them in real life I don't find that hard, but making them in this game is quite hard to balance it. I like the fact that it auto speeds up when there's no one in the restaurant. So there's nothing happening, so it speeds up for you. You can hire more chefs who've got different abilities to use so that everything's nicely balanced and everything's getting done as it needs to be. They don't take breaks in this game, like real life hospitality. Don't know how many of you have done it, but that's what it's like. And it's just, I really enjoy it. Here you can look at your reviews. So, they feel I'm too expensive, I think, or are they saying my prices are good? Not good, and I expected more. I paid good money to eat, I expected more, the owners of the place didn't really do something about it. Didn't like the atmosphere. They liked the prices, okay, so they feel like it's cheap enough, but they don't feel like it's got a nice atmosphere. Which is fair enough, I didn't actually decorate the room at all. Beautiful. Look at that. Does that make people happier? It really is a lot more like running a restaurant. It's not just a simple, oh, I like food, I'm going to put the tomatoes with pasta, it'll be great. You really have to make sure that everything's balanced, and everything's delicious, and everything's good. I don't know if they consulted chefs when they made this. I feel like they probably did, or some of them are chefs, or something. They didn't consult me, which is more than fair enough. But it's good. If you like food, and you like management simulation type games, get this. It is good. It's $28.95. It's not even that expensive. It's relatively new. Came out December last year. And you can actually learn quite a bit from it. I have spent some time just messing around in the recipe editor, and I've come up with some ideas that I think might actually be quite nice. So if you're having trouble thinking of something to have for dinner, I actually use the recipe editor in this game to figure it out, because it kind of tells you that these things will balance well and these things won't. And it gives you a good idea of where to start. So should you buy it?